Hello. Dr. Brett Spradlin here at Divine Design Natural Health. We have a class for you tonight called Real Life, Weston A. Price. Is there anybody that wants to learn?
I do.
And while I have a captive audience, April 8th, by the way, we're doing one a month now. April 8th, put this in your calendar, 6 o'clock. This will blow your mind. Something happened in 1971. It's the name of that class. May 6th is a class that you will probably want to bring everybody that you know to, called Nothing But the Blood, with some throwback hymn stuff that we're talking about. We'll discuss many hymns, and we'll discuss the human blood, and we'll discuss how the words go together with the blood, and we'll discuss the ethics of biomedical treatment and how your doctors can do nothing but poison your blood by law and by license. How do they do that? What do you mean, poison my blood? Medications and vaccines. That is all they can do by law and by license. And even if they do surgery, it's with drugs and with chemo and stuff like that. I learned today the number one, like the worst, who told me that? The worst chemotherapy drug, guess what the name of it is? I didn't know this. I learn something new every day. Red Devil.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah, let's...
I couldn't believe it. I said, no way, you're full of crap. And they said, look it up. I can't remember. It wasn't...
No, it wasn't me.
Who was it? I don't even remember. The most potent, the most dreaded chemotherapy drug is called Red Devil. And then I thought, well, we'll have to talk about that in Nothing But the Blood on May 6th. And then on June 3rd, Real Life, Weston A. Price, that class will be called on June 3rd, Pottinger's Cats. And if you don't know who Pottinger was, and if you don't know what his cats had to do with anything, he had some bad little kitties, and we'll talk about what was the deal with Pottinger's bad little kitties. Okay? Let's get into this. We got a lot of stuff to do. By the way, I'm going to pass this around. This is here in a little while. Nutrition and physical degeneration. I'm going to pass this around. Oh, by the way, before we get started too, I wanted to say congratulations to all of you out there. Bitcoin today, for the first time in 2.5 years, hit an all-time high with crushing Wall Street, crushing the banks, crushing all of major investments. It's ready to eat. It ate Facebook today. It passed Facebook after only 15 years of being in existence. It is on course to surely pass Google and Amazon within the next month, if not within the next week. Then it will clobber silver. It will clobber, then it will clobber Microsoft, and then it will clobber gold, and it will be the number one asset class in the whole world after only 15 years, and with no CEO, no marketing team, no headquarters. It's just it's a worldwide computer network of monetary energy. We've taught classes on it before. If you want to know more about it, Root of All Evil Part 1, Root of All Evil Part 2, and today, after 2.5 years, Bitcoin hit a new all-time high. Little side note. Nutrition and physical degeneration, I'm going to pass this around here when we get to it. I'll pass it around this way right now. I want you to look at some pictures. We'll pass that all around. Get over here. I want you to see one of the greatest books ever written right there. Then, at the end of this, we'll do a little pitch. Whoever wants to come up and give the best testimonial, I think, is how we should do that, probably. You get a free Wise Traditions for Food, Farming, and Healing Arts. This is the quarterly journal that Weston A. Price Foundation puts out. You'll learn more about that later on. And then we have this that I want to refer to. You get these at the front desk. We've had people buy 5, 10, 15 of these things and hand them out to people, because this is like the one cookbook that you'll never see in a bookstore. And it has everything to do with Weston A. Price philosophy, Weston A. Price principles that you'll learn about tonight, standard process, Royal Lee. It's all approved so that you're not eating sugar, you're not eating bread, you're not eating noodles and cake and candy and pasta and bread and all of its various forms and crackers and crap like that. This is all just plants and animals. I did not write this. Nadia wrote this, and Amanda wrote this. So I have nothing to do with this, but this is the cookbook that goes into every new patient's educational bundle from now on. And Nadia is my wife, by the way. Correct. Absolutely. And she's up front running the show. All right, now are we ready to start? Everybody ready? Yeah. Yay. Okay, let's get right into this because we have a lot to cover. First of all, disclosures. We here at Divine Design Natural Health are the Weston A. Price Foundation, that's what that means, chapter leader for the Cleveland, Tennessee area. What does that mean? It means that we are the resource support system for anyone in Cleveland and the surrounding areas searching for quality food. And how many of you know quality food is getting harder and harder to find these days? How many of you know that yesterday or over the weekend, when Wendy's, the fast food, second, I think it's the number 2 fast food chain in the United States, announced, what did they announce? Dynamic pricing. So that when you walk up to the counter, whether it's 12 in the afternoon or whether it's 6 o'clock at night, the prices are going to be different. Mark my words, every fast food place is going to do the same. They're all going to do that. Why? So they can make more money, right? Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention to you about this book. It was written in 1939, and you'll see in most of the pictures on the left will be an indigenous person, and on the right will be usually their kids or somebody else in their tribe or in their group that ate crappy food. You can usually tell by looking at their teeth. By the way, I forgot to tell you that. So that means that we are the place for searching for quality food. If you want to know things, there's things I'm not going to mention on camera. We'll talk about it later. But if you want to know quality food, we are your Huckleberry. In the future, we will bring more Weston A. Price Foundation information to our community with more events like this, such as the June 3rd class. It's Pottinger's Cats. That'll be a Weston A. Price class too. This is only a brief overview to stimulate your appetite. See what I did there? Appetite? Food? Nobody laughed at that joke. There it was. There it was. And see westonaprice.org for more information. There's a lot of info on there. We're going to read a couple of their web pages just so that you understand who Weston A. Price was and so that you know what the foundation does. This is going to be a lot of information, though, besides that. And obviously, we approach health from a biblical perspective. If you can't tell by how it feels when you walk in this place, if you can't tell by the name on the door that it's not mine, and if you can't tell by what we do and the results we get that you should know them by their fruits, then let it be known that we do everything here from a biblical standpoint. You're not going to find injections here. You're not going to find drugs here. Nothing that we do can harm you. It's all safe. It's affordable. It's effective. It's ancient. It's biblical. There's nothing that you're going to find here that we can't point out in scriptures. To date, I have seen no obvious Christian principles or scriptures promoted in any Weston A. Price Foundation literature. I don't know, it seems like a lot of stuff Weston A. Price preaches is very, very cool and tuned into what God created, but then on other times you think, oh, this would be the perfect place for him to talk about this story in the Bible or whatever. I don't see that. I'm not saying that he's a bad person. What I'm saying is I know that he came from a long line. He grew up in Ontario, and he came from either his dad or his granddad was a Methodist preacher. Take it for what it is. I'm just saying we support them and we promote them, but just know that I don't know their spiritual background, okay? That's all. And there's certain things in some of the literature, if you read, you might go, what's that all about? Here's some of those things. Like there's an African tribe called the Maasai, and they drank blood for food purposes. I mean, we obviously don't do that. But in the sub-Saharan African desert, where they only had cattle that could survive the heat, and they milk the cattle weekly, and they bleed the cattle monthly because that's the only food source they have, and they don't necessarily have Bibles, to my knowledge, that would be a way that they would stay alive. Were they robust people? Absolutely. And if you read that book, wherever it floated around to, if you look through that, the Maasai people, they're like 7 feet tall. It's crazy. So we just don't recommend drinking blood. There's some internet influencers out there on Instagram and TikTok that do recommend you drink blood. It's crazy. There's a lot of stuff. I talked about that in a class called New Age for Old Devils. Might want to go back and look at all the New Age stuff that's going on in natural health. You would be shocked. We do not often promote pork products like lard, ham, sausage, and bacon, just because pigs have one stomach. They don't sweat. I grew up with pigs. They're vile, vile creatures, but they can be raised the right way nowadays. Unfortunately, a lot of the mRNA vaccines are targeted towards swine as well, so you got to take that into consideration. But pigs don't sweat. They've got one stomach. Cattle sweat. They've got 4 stomachs. They eat grass. That's it. Pigs eat a lot of crap. Pigs eat dead carcasses. Cattle only eat grass. So if you're looking for a clean food source, there's nothing better than cattle. But they do recommend, Weston A. Price talks a lot about pigs because some of the tribes and some of the places that he traveled and saw, they only had pigs. So just keep that in mind. And we're, whether you're like a New Testament leaning or Old Testament leaning, we just don't, shove a lot of pigs in people's faces because Southeast Tennessee, what are people already eating a lot of? Pigs. So if you can get them away from the pigs, which are full of parasites, if you can get them away from the pigs, in most cases, if you can get them away from the pigs, they'll get healthier. We do not often promote shellfish for the same reasons. Next. But just full disclosure, some supplements we carry do use porcine, meaning pig, or occasionally mussels. Why is that? Because Royal Lee, who was the Nikola Tesla of nutrition, figured out that pigs had certain organs that no other critter in the world had. Certain organs that certain digestive organs that were very robust that no other animal, because pigs can digest metal and rubber and, all kinds of stuff. So Royal Lee did use some pig parts. Disclosures, we do not often promote breads and grains. Why? Because in Southeast Tennessee, what's everybody eating? Bread, cake, candy, pasta, cereal, donuts, bagels, bread in all of its forms. Rice, cake, candy, pasta, noodles. So Weston A. Price Foundation also does not promote protein powders. No indigenous culture in the world had protein powder. It makes sense, right? But we are big protein powder proponents here, not the GNC muscle milk, whey protein, bodybuilding protein powders. We're talking about protein powders so that people can start gently replacing some of the sugar in their diet, get the sugar out of their diet and replace it with protein and fat. And the easiest way to do that is to do it in their breakfast. So we do a lot of protein powders. And the way that Royal Lee, the way that Standard Process does protein powders, they're never heated above your body temperature. They're not denatured past your body temperature. So a lot of protein powders don't do that. So on nearly all other matters, we're in absolute steadfast agreement. Congratulations, congratulations. So tonight, the Royal Lee, Weston Price, Francis Pottinger connection we'll discuss. Then we'll get into the why, the how, the who, the what, and the how. Okay, for real, true freedom from disease with traditional nutrition. How many of you want to know this? It's easy. It's so simple. When you get to the end of this, you're going to be like, why have I never heard of this? And if you have heard of this, you're going to hear it in a whole new way. What do I mean? America is overfed and undernourished. How many of you can say amen to that? Amen. They're overfed with poison, the toxicity, and they're undernourished with food, deficiency. How many of your medical doctors talk about this? 0. Why? Because every drug they give you is number one. Everyone. There is no safe medication. There is no medication out there, A, that has 0 side effects, and there is no medication out there that ever actually cured a physical disease in history, ever. What do I mean? You put any condition here at the top of this, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, stroke, you name it, tooth decay, birth defects, miscarriages, condition, symptom, diagnosis, put it right here. And then I can show you simply how that disease, condition, symptom, diagnosis can be caused by a dysfunctioning organ or a deficiency in nutrition, or a little bit of each, right? I'll show you. We'll come back to this in a minute. We'll come back to this at the very end if you have questions. All of these things, conditions we have normalized. This is what's normal in today's society. Are you ready? Toxicity from an overabundance of poisoned and GMO'd government subsidized monocrops like corn, soy, and wheat. People say, what's the problem with bread? Well, it's sprayed, it's genetically modified. That's just the beginning. Then symptoms of nutritional deficiency labeled as medical diseases. What do I mean by that? Well, you take the toxicity and the nutritional deficiencies of that triangle that we just showed you, and every one of these things right here, these are conditions that we have normalized that are all stemming from nutritional deficiencies. All of them. I've done classes on half of these. Heart disease, cancer, diabetes, tooth decay, orthodontics, braces, and appliances. What if by this one talk I could save you, mothers and fathers, $10,000 from having to get your kids braces? Would it be worth it? What if we could save them from having to get their wisdom teeth extracted, which is a horrible, wretched experience that I went through? That's just now become normalized that everybody gets their wisdom teeth removed, everybody gets their gallbladder, everybody gets their tonsils, everybody gets their appendix ripped out. And when you get older women, what do they come for? Full histo, right? All of it. It's just normalized. What else? Root canals. Everybody thinks a root canal is a normal thing. You know what Weston A. Price and Royal Lee, who were both dentists, said about root canals? It would shock you. We'll get to that. What else have we normalized? Organ removal. Talked about that. Arthritis. Well, you just get older. Your joints fall apart. How many of you know that's a full of crap? How about bone and joint problems? How about everybody thinking that they have osteoporosis when they don't? How about skin diseases like eczema, psoriasis, and atopic dermatitis, and all the crap that your kids have that nobody can figure out? Your dermatologist offices are full. Have you ever been to a dermatology office? Was it ever not busy? Yeah, I wonder why. Wonder why? What is it about skin stuff? Is everybody getting skin cancer? It must be the sun. It has to be the global warming. Skin diseases, digestive problems. I don't know how many people have walked in here. They've been to specialist after specialist after specialist. One of my favorite was from my first year in practice. Mom brings a kid. He has cyclical vomiting syndrome. I said, I know exactly what the problem is. You do? We've been taking him to 4 different specialists at Vanderbilt, Mayo Clinic, and Johns Hopkins. I said, I know exactly what the problem is. She just looked at me like I was full of crap. Cyclical vomiting syndrome. What do you think the problem is, Sam? You don't need to be a doctor to figure that one out, right? Did I know that the specialists weren't looking at food? Right. I knew it. It's first year in practice, and I knew the specialists that you're going to aren't looking at food. So guess what? Your kid with a cyclic vomiting syndrome at 9 years old and just cyclically vomiting, spitting pea soup all over the walls like Linda Blair in The Exorcist, I knew how to fix it. I knew how to fix it. What are you laughing at back there, Jonathan? Good job. Difficult childbirths. Oh, if I had a nickel for every time somebody came in here and said I had a miscarriage, or I had this, or I had that, back years ago. They never have miscarriages when they're here, strangely. But women go through hell, difficult childbirths and problematic pregnancies, and then birth defects. Whether it's some kind of chromosomal problem, whether it's cleft lip, cleft palate, spina bifida, all the stuff they make you afraid of, women, and then you run into the pharmaceutical stuff to get your prenatals, pharmaceutical prenatals. Because when you all of a sudden get pregnant, what is the first thing a mother thinks? Yeah, first thing. First thing a mother thinks. Now, when the kid gets born, and right before whoever puts the kid in the mom's arms, what is the mother thinking? What is the very first thing out of the mom's thought process? Huh? Is he healthy? Is my baby healthy? Is he, she healthy, right? That's the first thing, right? But when they get pregnant, the woman automatically thinks, I hope I'm healthy. I need to start taking prenatals, right? But when should she have started thinking that? Long time ago. And you'll see what the indigenous tribes and people did that Weston A. Price studied. It's mind-blowing. Problematic pregnancies, they didn't have those. Indigenous traditional cultures didn't have problematic pregnancies. But nowadays, emergency C-sections are normalized. Childhood developmental disorders, every kid's got ADD, can't make Johnny sit down, right? Everybody's got ADD, everybody's got all these fake psychiatric diagnoses that were voted on, not studied in a laboratory, they were voted on by people who were paid by the pharmaceutical companies. That's how the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, the book that I go through in this class and many others, you don't have a chemical imbalance class. If you want to go back and look at that, I destroy every one of the psychiatric disorders. These right here are just the kids are hopped up on crap sugar, and they're toxic. From what? Having their blood, nothing but the blood, poisoned. Mental disorders, same thing. I have one quote at the very end of this that will lay waste to all of the asylum, jail problems. Hormone and thyroid issues. Every woman that walks in here, they've had 3 different thyroid surgeries. They've had 12 different blood tests, all telling them that their TSH and their T3 and their T4 were in the toilet. And you look at them and you tell them, it's not your thyroid. It's not your thyroid. Menopause, hot flashes. I guarantee no one in this room's grandmother or great-grandmother had a hot flash. How do I know? Because it's brand new. It's brand new in the course of human history. Hot flashes are brand new. It's been normalized. And then if they got you on the hot flashes and the menopause, they can get you on the thyroid drugs and they can get you on the hysterectomies. Full or partial, by the way, whichever one you want. Doesn't matter. Allergies, asthma, obesity. See? Conditions we've normalized. Did I leave anything out? Right? There's a lot of stuff. Next, all the autoimmune crap and this and that. So Dr. Royal Lee, Weston Price, Francis Pottinger connection. We here sell a lot of Standard Process supplements. Standard Process is the #1 supplement company in the world. I should say the first supplement company in the world. Royal Lee coined the term multivitamin in 1929. Royal Lee started the company, Standard Process. It's good for babies, lactating moms, pregnant moms, dogs, cats, any mammal, because it's only made of plants and animals. So all the crap that you see on Costco shelves and Rite Aid and Walmart and CVS and all that crap, they're trying to copy. Every supplement company you know out there is trying to copy Standard Process in some way, shape, or form, whether you realize it or not. So Royal Lee was a doctor of dental surgery, a dentist. That's the abbreviation for dentist back in the day. There's DMDs and DDSs. He's a DDS. And in 1923, he said these words: Dr. Weston A. Price was the first dentist to publish an article asserting that dental caries, read that as cavities, are primarily a result of vitamin deficiency. Let me say something first, too. Royal Lee knew Weston A. Price. Royal Lee knew of Weston A. Price's research, and he knew about the book that Weston A. Price wrote, this book right here. So what he was saying, this is at his graduation. Well, he's talking about his graduation from Marquette University in northern Michigan, in the Upper Peninsula of northern Michigan. But he's saying right here, he's mentioning Weston A. Price. They were colleagues. What I wanted to say is they were colleagues. They were contemporaries. They were dentists at the same time. So he's mentioning Weston A. Price here, that he was the first dentist to publish an article asserting that cavities, dental decay, just read that, that's the old word for dental decay. The old word for cavities is caries. And that they are primarily a result of vitamin deficiency. Have you ever heard your dentist say that? That your teeth, which are made of minerals, if they have a problem, it might be because you have a vitamin and mineral deficiency, right? No, 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 no. Your dentists don't say that today. What do your dentists say? You got soft teeth. It's genetic. They don't tell you you're eating too much sugar and not getting enough, real food. Funny, huh? But there was a few dentists 100 years ago that had it figured out. Why don't they today? I have a bone to pick with my dentist. I have a bone to pick with him from so long ago, filling 6 cavities at a time every 6 months that I dreaded. Right, Mom? Dr. Pink, if you're out there, Dr. Pink, don't ever trust a doctor named Dr. Pink. Right? You got that? Write that down. He was supposed to be, oh yeah, he was good at drilling, billing, and filling. But was he good at telling me how not to have to sit in his chair every 6 months? No. What would he do on the way out the door? Give me a what?
Oh, God.
Yeah. What is it, Sandrina? Lollipop. A dentist giving me a lollipop. I didn't know till I get older, and here I am going, you son of a... But they knew it 100 years ago. So why don't your doctors and your dentists know it today? Oh, they do. You think they're filling and drilling and billing their kids' teeth? So what Dr. Lee here is saying, and Dr. Lee, by the way, is a hero. Like, I read more Dr. Lee. The only thing I read more of than Royal Lee is the Bible. Okay? Just FYI. But Royal Lee was a genius. He is the Nikola Tesla of nutrition. Okay? And don't misunderstand me. And he based his stuff off of Weston A. Price, who was like the Isaac Newton. So what he's saying right here is Dr. Price was the first dentist to publish an article showing that dental cavities were caused by malnutrition. This was in 1927. And in 1923, this is Royal Lee talking, I had prepared a paper on the subject of the systemic causes of dental caries, and I read it to my senior class at Marquette Dental College in northern Michigan, Upper Peninsula of Michigan, subscribing to the same hypothesis. I called attention to the findings of Dr. Paulina, you'll see that in a minute, that in a survey of 6,000 school kids, the only ones with sound teeth were those children who had not had a history of children's diseases. Get that? That showed, I argued at that time, that the real cause for both the incidence of children's disease and the accompanying dental caries was one and the same, vitamin deficiency. Dr. Price's findings were completely in accord with that hypothesis. So here it is, 100 years ago, 2 of the baddest dentists in the world, 100 years ago, knew that systemic chronic disease and dental decay were one and the same, caused by what? Nutritional deficiencies, AKA crappy food. So let's go. Let's get into this. All of their professors, go back, all of their professors, Dr. Lee and Dr. Price, they simply thought it was pH. It was the acidity and bacteria that caused dental decay. So here comes a student, 2 students that just got their degrees saying, we did research and it's not pH and bacteria, it's deficiencies. Can you imagine what happened to them? Like their dental professors did not like it. Let's just say that. So Dr. Price, this is Royal Lee talking again. Dr. Price met with such opposition to his contentions that he decided to take an extended trip around the world and compile such a complete recording of the damage wrought by civilized man in his commercial distribution of devitalized foods that his critics would be forever silenced. In his book, entitled Nutrition and Physical Degeneration, it shows you beyond any possible doubt the real truth of the matter. He found that in all parts of the world where the native population had changed from their natural foods to the use of commercial products, there began the infiltration of those dreaded diseases like tuberculosis, pneumonia, and influenza, together with a statistical rise in dental pathology that exactly paralleled the increase in the use of those commercial foods. Dental cavities, pyorrhea, that's a way of saying pus. Periodontitis is how we would say pyorrhea today. Deformities of the dental arch. What's that mean? You don't need orthodontics. Cleft palate. Heard of that one? They have all these commercials on TV, help these little kids with the cleft palate. How do you think they got the cleft palate? Crappy nutrition as in utero, right, from mom. It made no difference, and hair lip, that were all now present, were unknown before. It made no difference whether the change took place in the high valley in the Swiss Alps or in an island of the sea in the eastern or western hemisphere. The identically same results followed the introduction of commercialized foods of civilized man. This is Royal Lee. This is a transcript of a speech. Like, if you're big Weston A. Price people, like, you're never going to know this even existed. This is a transcript of Royal Lee talking about Weston Price. So two, the juggernauts of clinical nutrition, greatest clinical nutritionists in history, talking about each other. This is brand new stuff to a lot of people. Even if you've been a big fan of Weston Price for a long time, this is brand new stuff. So what does this mean? Well, do you not agree that this should have been shouted from the rooftops? What happened to it? Went unnoticed. In today's vernacular, it was canceled. 100 years ago, same thing, stuff was happening. There's nothing new under the sun, Solomon said, right? So Dr. Lee said that Nutrition and Physical Degeneration is the #1 book for any doctor to have in his library. I've had this book since before I started practice. How many of your doctors, how many of your medical doctors, how many of your dentists own this book? Good question to ask. Do that on your interview, patients. It was published in 1939. It's never been out of print. Right now, the 23rd printing of this book, you can get it for $25, $40. It'll blow your mind. Now, I will warn you, this is not a light read. This is not toilet reading. This is hardcore. This is good stuff. Dr. Price was an expert photographer who developed all of his own slides. So what do you think about the integrity of the notes that he took along with the pictures he took? He kept track of stuff, is what I'm saying. His original pictures are held by the Price Pottinger Foundation in California. That's another thing that we're going to talk about in a month, 3 months, in June. Weston A. Price, Francis Pottinger, the Price Pottinger Foundation. What do they do? What are they all about? We'll talk about it. And we'll talk about Dr. Pottinger's bad little kitties, okay? And the following transcript right here is from the only surviving audio of Dr. Price's voice, except for a clip that we're going to view later. We're going to see a 15-minute video later on, but this is the only little surviving clip, recorded clip of Dr. Weston A. Price's voice from the grave. Right here. This is the transcript of it. And this is in June of 1940. Check this out. This will blow your mind. We're just going to read this part right here. We're going to stop right here. This is him talking. The most universal disease of modern civilization is dental caries or tooth decay. We'll come back to that. It is still exceedingly rare in some of the primitive races in many parts of the world. A mass of recent evidence has been accumulated in Europe and America, indicating that in most of our modernized communities, 90 to 98% of persons per 100 of all inhabitants suffer now from tooth decay at some time in their life. Many are suffering very severely. This problem of tooth decay and other diseases of the oral cavity is so serious that practically the entire dental profession is engaged in making repairs. And it's estimated that they serve only approximately 1/5 of the total population, the other 4/5 receiving no dental care. Every dental office you drive past, they're treating the symptoms, not the cause. I hate to say it. I've got friends who are dentists, but they couldn't disagree with me because I've got 100 years of proof right here, and they know that they're drilling, billing, and filling cavities and fixing orthodontia. That shouldn't be a problem. I had 6 teeth pulled. I had my wisdom teeth taken out surgically. I had braces for years. I had a Frankel, if any of you even know what that is, if they even make those anymore. I had a palatal expander. What else? I don't even know. I forgot. I wiped.
Big builds.
Oh yeah, I know. I never saw those. But what a catastrophe that money could have been used for something else. And the pain and suffering and the heartache and the you get me out of bed on 7 o'clock in the, whatever it was, 5 o'clock in the morning to drive an hour and a half or whatever it was to Jackson, Michigan, so I could sit in Dr. Pink's chair and get shot up with all kinds of stuff and go back to school and have my mouth numbed for 10 hours from the time I was 4 years old.
Wow.
All the while telling me it was my soft teeth, all the while never telling me that it had anything to do with sugar. Can you tell I'm bitter? I'm bitter. Mr. Pink, Dr. Pink. So right there, have you ever seen anything like that? The most modern, I should say the most common, the most universal disease, that statement right there, 1940. Most universal disease of modern civilization is dental caries or tooth decay. That is a huge statement. What did Royal Lee have to say about it? Let's check this out. Arthritis and periodontal disease link. If this doesn't blow your mind, I don't know what will. This is Royal Lee in April of 1955 talking to the organic food group. It was a big Long Beach, California dealio. Let's go to the next slide. So it's a transcript. He's saying, now Dr. Pickerel, who lived from here to here, was a DDS and a medical doctor in New Zealand, was talking about dental disease only. A lot of other diseases, I think there are a whole list that Dr. Pottinger, Francis Pottinger, found in his animal tests of 900 cats. We'll talk about that in a couple months. A lot of these diseases must be added to that. Some of our authorities have termed arthritis, or have called pyorrhea, like I said, periodontitis, arthritis of the gums. Have you ever heard of that? You will. I'll explain it. It's the same disease in the tooth socket that you have in the joints. This was 80 years ago, right? They already knew this. But they were busy being silenced by the FDA. So the tooth socket is just like one of the joints of the body because the tooth is separated from the bone by the same kind of a membrane, same kind of a cushion. So that anyone who has arthritis usually has this periodontal disease at the same time. Interesting. What do you mean? Prove it. Okay, I will. Here's the American Medical Association, June 7th, 2010, reference for you. The Rheumatology Network says, periodontal disease precedes rheumatoid arthritis diagnosis. Have you ever heard anyone say this? Have you ever heard this? Your gums will always show. That's why here, when you look at the pictures, what's he looking at? Why? Why is he looking at the teeth? Because from the teeth, you can tell the rest of the body. The teeth are just a visual manifestation of what's inside, is it not? Right? So he's always looking at the teeth first. We've got a book here that goes around the hair, the skin, the nails speak. I can't remember the exact name of it, but very, very famous book too that a lot of people check out. Periodontal disease, this was written in 2019. Periodontal disease and periodontal inflammation appear to be present in individuals who are at risk of developing rheumatoid arthritis long before they begin to show signs of disease. Imagine that. We can't figure it out. In the words of the day, we're baffled, right? Because they're saying August 2019, the periodontal disease always shows up before rheumatoid arthritis, but we don't know why. I'll show you why next. Here's another, I had to throw this in there. Cleveland Clinic. This is Rheumatology and Immunology Journal out of July 24th of 2019. This is just a few years ago, 5 years ago. Did gum disease cause my arthritis? And of course, that's the answer. This is an online forum, right? Short answer from an actual rheumatologist. The question, I have gum disease and I was recently diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. I've heard these may be linked. Did gum disease cause my arthritis? You want to know the answer? Right here. The link between the two diseases is not yet completely understood. RA is an autoimmune disease, meaning the immune system mistakenly attacks healthy tissue. It is believed that some type of injury, blah, 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 starts it all, right? Autoimmune disease, they tell you your body's attacking itself. They're lying to you. They're lying to your face. Your body's not attacking itself. It's attacking something that's not self. I have a whole class about it. You don't have an autoimmune disease. You might want to check that out. But right here's the Cleveland Clinic saying the same thing that the American Journal of Medicine said in 2019. But Royal Lee said, so that anyone who has arthritis usually has periodontal disease at the same time, 1955. And guess what? Francis Pottinger was saying it in 1925. But the doctors don't know about it? Oh, it's crazy. So Dr. Lee's outrageous claims were used by the FDA as examples of bad information, because the medical authorities back then of the day, they thought the link between gum disease and arthritis was completely ridiculous, right? But Dr. Lee said it in 55. Medicine still can't see it today. That's 65 years too late. And one of a good mentor of mine said, in reference to this, never have so few been so wrong about so much to damage so many. He's given a little throwback to the Winston Churchill Royal Air Force speech that he gave at World War II. And I thought that was just apropos to throw in there. So Weston A. Price, that is a little bit of the background of the connection between Royal Lee, who we talk about a lot here. Many of you already know plenty about Royal Lee, because what's in those supplements, we talk quite a bit about Royal Lee. And so the connection between Royal Lee, Weston A. Price, who we're going to talk about today, and then Francis Pottinger, who we're going to talk about in a couple of months. I just thought we'd spell that out for you, then we'll get into the how, the why, and the rest of this is very easy. Ready, Sam? Ready for a commercial break?
Yeah.
I got to take a break. I'll be right back in 20 minutes.
I don't know if I can talk that long. All right, so this patient said, after a car accident, I had pain and stiffness in both legs, and I was told that I needed to have a knee replacement surgery on both legs. I had a lot of stiffness and pain, which made it hard to do normal things like grocery shopping, cleaning, housework, and yard work, and driving. Now I'm totally pain-free with no stiffness, and I'm able to exercise on a stair stepper and a treadmill. I'm so thankful for Divine Design for being here and teaching me about nutrition and how to get healthy without drugs or surgery. So.
How many ways are there to do it besides drugs and surgery? One, nutrition. Weston A. Price said it like this: you eat right or you curse yourself and your progeny. That's what he learned. Eat right or you curse yourself and your progeny, right? Okay. Yep, there's no other way to do it. So the longer the shelf life, the shorter yours is. Saw somebody, one of my prepping groups in some social media thing, and they said, hey, I took my tax refund and filled the pantry. Should we add anything else? And it was a picture of the pantry, and it was just all neon colored packaged foods with like Powerade and Gatorade. It's like they use their tax refund to fill their pantry with stuff that's going to kill them during the tranny zombie apocalypse. It's so heartbreaking, right? The FDA and the drug companies, when it turns out their FDA-approved drug causes cancer, oops, my bad. How many of you know every drug that ever killed anybody was first approved by the FDA? Next. How I feel about a lot of things these days. Nope. Here's a cute little song I wrote called People Aren't Dying Suddenly, They Were Intentionally Poisoned, You Dummy. Me, whenever the government says anything about anything, I wasn't listening, but I strongly disagree. If animals don't want to be eaten, why are they made of food? That means no disrespect to the animals at all. We mean healthy, regenerative farming and good environments and stuff like that. We'll get into more of that. So here's the why. Dr. Price traveled the world with his wife Florence in the 30s. None of us will ever understand. On prop planes, steamships, canoes, automobiles, on foot, visiting 14 countries on 5 continents. So, yeah, no kidding. And it wasn't a vacation, because he was taking pictures, he was taking notes, he was trying to meet the tribal leaders and all the people, trying not to get eaten himself, I'm sure. Now you've got vegan influencers going on YouTube and social media bashing somebody that did that. Who are you going to trust? Somebody that gathered his own data 100 years ago, or some dude that's not ever treated a patient but has 5 million followers on Instagram? Right. As a dentist, he was troubled with the dramatic increase in dental problems. His travels proved his theory. If you eat your native ethnic diet in an unprocessed form, you'll have good mental, we haven't even talked about that yet, mental health, physical health, and dental health. The consumption of highly processed foods with questionable agents added and essential nutrients removed deteriorates human health. Nutrition and Physical Degeneration remains the single most important treatise on human nutrition and dietary health ever written. Do you see why? I mean, there's Bible, number 1. maybe some, I'm a Shakespeare guy. Complete works of Shakespeare would be up there, but then this right here would be up there too, right? You get deserted on an island and you got to take a few books with you. That might be one to take along. Next. While thousands of new diet books are published every year, that book stands alone. It's the only book clearly demonstrating healthy diets of multiple people groups before the advent of modern chronic disease. There's no other book like it. Current dietary information on the news, on radio and television appears to change daily, yet this information remains correct and unchanged since its original publication in 1939, 23rd printing, okay? The work is almost completely unknown to the general public and medical professionals as chronic disease and medical interventions destroy more people every single year. Remember what kind of food they were handing out to get the lethal injections a couple of years ago? Yeah, they weren't giving you organic, free-range, grass-fed, hippy-dippy, homeschooled, grass-fed beef, were they? No. Here's the why. This research, this is more of the why. This research represents the very genesis of all of the other fads like Paleo, Atkins, and Keto. They all came out of that book. All 21st century nutrition controversies can be laid to rest by reading this. That should be required reading for all healthcare professionals who profess competency in clinical nutrition. If you're going to a clinical nutritionist at some hospital, some RD, or some registered dietitian or some clinical nutritionist, and they don't know who Weston A. Price is, you're talking to the wrong person. If this book was taught in schools, it would likely take about a decade for our national healthcare crisis to be reduced by more than 50%. Instead of, if you put this book in schools and made it required reading, instead of vending machines and Michelle Obama lunches to make the kids stupid, this would change the world. It would change the world. No drug or medical discovery will ever surpass the results of reading and heeding the information in this book. Prevention and cure of disease, because remember this, is not as profitable as the treatment of disease, which includes no cure, right? So here's the WHO. Here's all you need to know about the WHO. Not the World Health Organization. But Dr. Weston A. Price, he was what, 78? A Cleveland dentist, Cleveland, Ohio, not here, has been called the Isaac Newton of nutrition by many. Just like, in my circles, Royal Lee is the Nikola Tesla of nutrition. Weston A. Price is the Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton came before Nikola Tesla, right? So in his search for the causes of dental decay, physical degeneration, he observed in his dental practice, he turned from test tubes and microscopes to unstudied evidence among human beings. Dr. Price, unstudied evidence. Right? Nobody else had done this before. Dr. Price sought the factors responsible for fine teeth among the people who had them. Isolated, non-industrialized people. He was just looking for who had the good teeth. What he found as an accident was, they don't have asylums or prisons either. The world became his laboratory. As he traveled, his findings led him to the belief that dental caries and deformed dental arches resulted in crowding, crooked teeth, and unattractive appearance were merely a sign of physical degeneration resulting from what he had suspected, nutritional deficiencies. I just saved you $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. I'd hate to know. I don't even know what you spent on my face. And we still got this. But I'd hate to know what we could have saved, right? And moms out there, if we can save you a couple thousand, you can donate to the Divine Design Fund. Who knows? Dr. Price traveled the world over in order to study isolated human groups, including sequestered villages in Switzerland, Gaelic communities in the Outer Hebrides on the western coast of Scotland, Eskimos and Indians in North America, Melanesian and Polynesian South Sea Islanders, African tribes, Australian Aborigines, New Zealand Maori, and the Indians of South America. Wherever he went, Dr. Price found beautiful straight teeth, freedom from decay, stalwart bodies, resistance to disease, fine characters were typical of native people on their traditional diets, rich in essential food factors. Do you see any of that in society today? Sometimes you can see a kid or when their teeth start coming in and you can tell, oh no. Stalwart bodies. If you walk through a high school these days, you won't see this. Resistance to disease, well, they've tricked the entire world into thinking that an invisible little poison was a wee beastie that was going to crawl inside their nasal passages and kill them. Fine characters. Do you see many fine characters out there these days? So, next. Oh, here it is. So this is a 15-minute video. This is the best known footage of what we have as far as actual Weston A. Price stuff. Go for it. Kill these lights if we can.
Fine, boy. See this boy. Come over here. To see you. How old are you?
40.
Number of the teeth have decayed cavities in them. And that has happened because he's not eating enough fish or not getting enough milk. Say, you're a fine, big, strong fella. How old are you?
20.
You look as though you were a giant. My. Where'd you come from?
Barbaros.
Well, that's the place. Did you eat lots of fish when you were a little boy?
Yes.
That's the stuff that makes good bodies. If everybody do that, the most universal disease in the world is the decay of the teeth. And unfortunately, we have not known the cause until we've gone to the primitive people to find how they prevent tooth decay. Our difficulty is that we are adding too much white flour and sugar and do not get enough of the foods that carry the minerals and vitamins. When the primitive people adopt the food of modern civilization, their teeth decay just as ours do.
He first visited Switzerland to study whether greater nutrition could be obtained from foods produced at higher altitudes, such as in the Swiss Alpines. He discovered the isolated Lechental Valley, a community compelled by its very isolation to eat locally produced foods. Here he made physical examinations of teeth, recorded data, collected menus, and made photographs of the people. Samples of food and saliva were taken for later analysis in his laboratory. The children had well-formed teeth, good physiques, and an apparent immunity to disease and dental problems. They ate mainly dairy products, whole rye bread, and plant foods such as potatoes and cabbage. Meat was eaten sparingly, usually only once a week. In contrast, Swiss children living in modernized districts had widespread tooth decay, facial and dental arch deformities, and greater susceptibility to disease. Their diet: refined flour, a high intake of sweets, chocolate, sweetened fruits, and a reduced use of dairy products. On his next journey, Dr. Price visited the Outer Hebrides, located off the coast of Scotland. Here he made similar studies among the Gaelic people who inhabit these isolated islands. These rather barren islands have very few trees and little fertility. The islands are often subjected to rough seas and blizzards from the North Atlantic. Most of the people are of early Scottish descent, possessing a physique that rivals that found almost any place in the world. Their teeth are of unusual perfection. The basic foods of these islanders are fish and oat products, such as oatmeal, whole grain breads, and shellfish. But when the islanders were exposed to the foods of commerce, it was a repetition of what had been found in Switzerland. Bad teeth and general physical degeneration was the result. For example, these two brothers lived under the same roof, but ate differently. The older ate primitive foods and was in excellent health. The younger had extensive tooth decay and a poor physique from eating the foods of commerce. In 1933, Dr. and Mrs. Price visited Alaska to study the Eskimos, one of the last examples of a Stone Age people. The areas they visited were isolated. Travel was often very difficult. Among the Eskimos, Dr. Price discovered examples of physical excellence and dental perfection seldom found anywhere else in the world. Living in isolated districts on native foods, they had uniformly broad dental arches and typical Eskimo facial patterns. Their general health was excellent. The Eskimos ate foods rich in minerals and vitamins, mainly caribou, kelp, berries, fresh fish, organs of large sea animals, and seal oil. When the Eskimos were exposed to the foods of commerce, there was a marked rise in dental decay and a change in facial and dental arch formation. Dental service was not readily available, and dental pain was often acute among these people. These Indians inhabited northern British Columbia and the Yukon Territory, an area inside the Rocky Mountain Range. This isolated area had to be reached by water and over roads that often were almost impassable. Long ago, these Indians discovered that the white man got scurvy when forced to live for long periods of time in this area where fresh fruits and vegetables were often not available. To avoid this dreaded disease, the Indians ate the adrenal gland and organs of moose and caribou. This gave them the necessary vitamin C, the vitamin that prevents scurvy. Primitive groups of Indians consistently had well-formed facial and dental arches that represented the tribal pattern. But new generations, exposed to the foods of commerce obtained at trading posts or through government agencies, showed marked changes in facial and dental arch forms. Extensive tooth decay was quite evident. By 1934, Dr. Price decided to study the various people who inhabit the many islands of the South Pacific. New Zealand was also included in his studies. Dr. and Mrs. Price lived with these people, collecting and studying data about their living conditions. Not surprisingly, he found that people who ate the foods of the area, shell and scale fish, plant roots, and tropical fruits, had developed a very high immunity to dental decay. Also, they had well-formed faces and good dental arches. In their primitive state, less than 1% of their teeth were attacked by tooth decay. But as though echoing a warning from nature herself, the message was clear. Those who ate foods outside their natural diets had a rise in tooth decay of over 29%. By 1935, Dr. and Mrs. Price went on one of their longest trips, some 6,000 miles to study 30 different African tribal groups. These people lived in the Sudan, Ethiopia, Kenya, the Congo, and Tanganyika. Africa was a fertile area for studying primitive peoples, last of the large continents to be invaded and explored by civilized man. It had one of the largest native populations living under primitive conditions. The primitive Africans were healthy, robust people. They had good teeth and fine dental arches. Their overall physique was excellent. Their diet, dairy products, fish, vegetables, and eggs of certain species. An important source of fat-soluble vitamin is the blood of steers. It is a basic food of the Maasai, people of outstanding physiques. For those who ignored tribal nutritional laws, characteristic types of deformity and tooth decay frequently developed. One of Dr. and Mrs. Price's last journeys was to Peru. Here he compared modern Peruvian society with the ancient Incas. This was done by examining more than 1,000 human skulls of the ancients. Dr. Price did not find one significant deformity of the dental arches. He also found examples of early brain surgery, evidence of the high degree of civilization of the ancients. Primitive Peruvian Indians, subsisting on natural foods indigenous to their country, were healthy and robust, with fine teeth and sturdy bodies. But those who ate the foods of commerce were degenerating and dying rapidly. This was another warning, another indication to obey nature's laws.
Dr. Price discovered that with individuals undergoing a degenerative process, a chemical analysis of the food disclosed a marked reduction in the intake of some of the important vitamins and minerals. Even primitive societies share our blight when they eat our food. Dr. Price discovered a substance he called activator X. It belongs in the fat-soluble group. He recognized that the fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and F had been deficient in practically every case of active tooth decay. He found that an essential characteristic of the successful dietary programs of primitive societies related to a liberal source of the fat-soluble activator group, such as is found in seafood, especially fish roe, bird's eggs, butterfat of mammal's milk, organs of animals, and insects. Even though the diets of primitive people differed greatly as to type and source, all diets provided a large increase in water-soluble vitamins over modern diets by at least a factor of 4, and at least 10 times more of the fat-soluble vitamins and mineral activators than the displacing diets of commerce. Quality rather than quantity was the important factor. Since these foods were unrefined, they also supplied from 2 to 8 times the minimum daily requirements of calcium and phosphorus, and up to 28 times that of magnesium.
The entire treatment of food, from planting to preparation, was important. Dr. Price believed that changes in nutrition could occur with a change in agricultural methods, and that there was a direct relationship between poor quality foods and the depletion of the minerals in the soil. Primitive societies were aware of the relationship between what they ate and their own reproduction, so nutrition was carefully planned for expectant mothers. When the foods of commerce were substituted for their natural diet, there was evidence of abnormal facial patterns and susceptibility to certain diseases. This Maori family demonstrates the link between nutrition and birth deformities. The eldest child has a normal, well-formed body. After her birth, the parents moved to a plantation and began to eat the foods of commerce. Their second child has a depressed face and flat feet. The next child has club feet. The parents returned to a primitive diet, and later 2 children were born without defects. Proper diet helped produce children without deformities, giving hope for all parents of the future.
It's crazy, isn't it? That last picture, the 5 kids over the course of normal, plantation, normal. It's crazy. Other things I wanted you to notice from that. At the very beginning, he said white flour and sugar. This was 1936, by the way. Deficient food was often attained through, get this, trading posts, and anyone catch the other place where where the tribes and some of these indigenous groups got bad food? Government agencies. Where did the Native Americans get the fire water? They didn't distill it themselves, did they? Then one other thing, not one deformity was found in the dental arches of over 1,000 Peruvian skulls that he examined. And if you saw that one skull, massive zoom in on that skull, and it was the bite. The bite was perfect. If you notice the left lateral side of the skull, the teeth were perfect. It was crazy. Nowadays, they call off bite. Anybody know what that's called? Malocclusion, where the jaws aren't lined up with each other. So, and then one other thing I wanted you to see was the Peruvian Incas did brain surgery, right? Filthy savages, filthy primitives. They were doing brain surgery, and now we can't figure out. Some people don't know which bathroom to pee in. That's where we are. Commercial break. Ready? Yes. Sorry, there's just no better way to say it. Some people are very confused. Okay.
All right. This person said, I had bad menstrual pain that had me on the floor in tears and not able to move. After taking 2 whole food supplements, the pain was completely gone within an hour and never returned. I felt whole, and it was unusual for me to not have any pain, so now I'm crying tears of joy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So remember, yeah, very good. Can nutrition affect your body instantaneously? Yeah. Of course. Eat a habanero pepper and see what happens to your heart rate. So if we feed somebody nutrition, can it affect their body positively? Of course. Next. If you want to know how well the medical industry understands health, just look at the food they serve in hospitals. Everyone knows this is true. The dietitians know it. The nutritionists know it. The hospital nurses, the doctors, they know it. Why is that? Why is everybody just so accepting of it? Next. Supposedly, this cow was farting a lot and ruining the environment, so I ate it. You're welcome. Be a hero, eat meat. Next. I love how all these so-called vegans still drink water. That's a fish's house, you disgusting savages! How do you tell who's telling the truth? The ones trying to silence other people are the ones that are lying. Yeah, we've been kicked off Facebook, we've been kicked off Vimeo, we've been kicked off YouTube permanently. They don't want, what if we just went into schools and showed this 15-minute Weston A. Price video? They don't want people knowing that. Why? Chemo and radiation, baby. Chemo and radiation. Now they're trying to get every kid in the country and every adult in the country on this drug called Ozempic. If they can make fruits seedless, they can make you seedless too. It's happening in real time, people. It's happening. Next. So here's the what. What's the Weston A. Price Foundation? That's the chapter leader thing that we do here for the city of Cleveland. The Weston A. Price Foundation is a nonprofit tax-exempt charity founded in '99 to disseminate the research of nutrition pioneer Dr. Weston A. Price, because nobody else is doing it, right? So whose studies of isolated, non-industrialized peoples established the parameters of human health and determined the optimum characteristics of human diets. Did it get publicized? Nope. You got the American food pyramid with grain, bread, rice, and candy, and everybody's, 50, 60 years later, and everybody's confused and wearing rainbows on their shirts, right? Dr. Price's research demonstrated that humans achieve perfect physical form and perfect health generation after generation only when they consume nutrient-dense whole foods and the vital fat-soluble activators found exclusively in animal fats. which tells you why do they pasteurize milk. We'll get to that later. Some of it I won't mention on camera just because the spooks. Next. Oh, the foundation, I'm sorry, that was probably me. The foundation is dedicated to restoring nutrient-dense foods to the human diet through education, research, and activism. It supports a number of movements that contribute to this objective, including accurate nutrition instruction, organic and biodynamic farming and regenerative farming and things like that, pasture feeding of livestock, community-supported farms, honest and informative labeling. That's one thing they're fighting for, because the United States doesn't want you to know what's in your food. Prepared parenting, very important, and nurturing therapies. I mean, I love these guys. You guys should follow these guys. You guys should hop on their Instagram, their Facebook, whatever socialist media that you do, or you should go to their website and sign up and get their emails. That's at the very least. Specific goals include establishment of universal access to clean, certified raw milk and a ban on the use of soy formula, for instance. You know when the whole COVID's lethal injection hoax happened and we were out of, what was the first thing people ran out of?
Oh, baby food.
Interesting, isn't it? Crazy. We can bomb countries, but we can't find baby food. Isn't that crazy? We can shut down the whole economy, but nobody has baby food. Interesting. So the foundation seeks to conduct research to test the nutrient content of foods, particularly butter, produced under various conditions, and the X factor, which is K2, we now know, the animal form of vitamin K, discovered by Dr. Price, and to determine the effects of traditional preparation methods on nutrient content and availability in whole foods. Why butter? Because the cattle that are eating the fast-growing spring chlorophyll-rich grass and cycling it through 4 digestive stomachs, that butter is pretty stinking healthy, they've discovered. So that's K2, that's X factor. The board, staff, and membership of the WAPF stand united in the belief that modern technology should be harnessed as a servant to the wise and nurturing traditions of our ancestors, rather than used as a force destructive to the environment and human health, and that science and knowledge can validate those traditions. That's what the foundation's all about. Oh, and the quarterly journal, by the way, which is this right here, pass this around and just see what read this right here if you want to see what this is all about. We'll give this away at the end. I got a subscription to this. It's great. But this is an extra. I had a few extra copies laying around. The Foundation's quarterly journal, Wise Traditions, we just call it Wise Traditions, but the name of it is Wise Traditions in Food Farming and the Healing Arts, is dedicated to exploring the scientific validation of dietary, agricultural, and medical traditions throughout the world. It features illuminating and thought-provoking articles on current scientific research, human diets, non-toxic agriculture, and holistic therapies. The journal also serves as a reference for sources of foods that have been conscientiously grown and processed. In the back of it is a list of all the stuff that's available. The foundation has 13,000 members and over 300 local chapters worldwide. Is that huge? No, it's tiny. Nobody knows about it. We do, because this is our circles. These are our people. But it's a small organization. Should it be worldwide? Should it be everywhere? Should it be in every school? Should it be in every college? Should it be in every building? Yep. But the powers that be won't allow it. 11 dietary principles of the Wise Traditions diets. Basically what the foundation did was they went through all the teachings and the research of Dr. Price, and they put together 11 principles that he noticed in all of his research. He pretty much authored the first 4. The last 7 came from the rest of the foundation. So here, let's read through these real quick. If you want to get these in a format, we can send them to you, or you can just, we've got documents around here. They're already in little pamphlets from the Weston A. Price Foundation, or you can take pictures of these. Number 1 thing is avoid refined and denatured foods. The diets of healthy, non-industrialized peoples contain no refined or denatured food or ingredients such as refined sugar, high fructose corn syrup, white flour, canned goods, pasteurized, homogenized, skim, or low-fat milk, refined or hydrogenated vegetable oils, protein powders, synthetic vitamins, or toxic additives and artificial colors. He traveled the world, 5 countries, 14 different societies, 5 continents, 14 countries, 5 continents, and he saw that there was no tribe out there that had any refined or processed food. Not a surprise, right? Number 2, include animal foods. Lay to waste the vegan and vegetarian thing. And if you want to know, it's a class we did, the truth about vegetarianism. I interviewed 2 people. One was born a vegetarian. Such a thing exists. And then the second one, adopted vegetarianism when she came to a liberal arts university. And so we contrast and compared how vegetarianism and veganism helped these two people. And what Weston A. Price found, much to our, we don't treat vegans and vegetarians here. We just don't. Like if they're not willing to read the book and understand how they were created, then we're never going to change their health. So we tell them, this is it. You will never find a vegetarian society, because Weston A. Price noticed you have to include animal foods. There was no such thing as a vegetarian society in the world, ever. All traditional, that word all there, if you look that up in a Hebrew and Greek lexicon, it means all. Traditional cultures consume some sort of animal food, such as fish or shellfish, land and waterfowl, land and sea mammals, eggs, milk products, reptiles, insects. The whole animal is consumed. Muscle meat, organs, bones, and fat, with the organ meats and the fats preferred. I mentioned all of this in the What's in Those Supplements class, because we get that's the second most common question we get. Number one is, well, if I can't eat Crystal Flash and, crap burger or Chubway or Booger Queen or Toxic Hell, if I can't go to my favorite fast food crap hole, what am I supposed to eat? Right? That's question number one. Question number two is what's in those supplements. And that's where I discuss all of this and how what's in those supplements is all the parts of the animal. So number two is include animal food. Number three, go ahead. Emphasize nutrient-dense foods, organ meats, animal fats, eggs, raw dairy, shellfish, and fish eggs. In other words, eat all the stuff that the talking heads on TV are trying to get you to not eat. Salt, red meat, eggs, fish, raw milk, raw dairy, raw cheese, fermented vegetables, fermented stuff, all the stuff that they tell you is bad, I guarantee you they're being paid to say it, right? The diets of healthy, non-industrialized peoples contain at least 4 times, you heard this gentleman say it at the very end of the, end of the video, 4 times the minerals and water-soluble vitamins and 10 times the fat-soluble vitamins found in animal fats, A, D, X, K2, as the average American diet. So 10 times the fat-soluble vitamins in animal fats. So most people are eating way too much sugar. There's only 3 things you can eat: fat, sugar, and protein. Most people are eating way too much sugar. So what does that tell you about their fat and their protein? They're not getting enough. But if you decrease the sugar, what do you automatically do to the fat and protein? See why we change their breakfasts? We get rid of their cakes and their candies and their pastas and their moon pies and their, what is this? Tennessee. Yeah, moon pies come out of Chattanooga, right? All the Little Debbie crap comes out of Collegedale, right? All of the, I grew up eating Kellogg's because Ma retired from Kellogg's, right? So I ate, and W.K. Kellogg was a vegetarian, right? Battle Creek, Michigan, W.K. Kellogg. People don't know that. I always wondered, I was like, Ma, why is there an insane asylum on the property? I always wondered, like, hey, this stuff's so good, why is there an insane asylum on the W.K. Kellogg property in the Battle Creek downtown, in the headquarters of the Kellogg property? And you know what most kids in the United States are eating? Kellogg's. Frosted Flakes, like extruded, baked, genetically modified corn and wheat flakes covered with sugar and artificial vitamins. And Fruity Pebbles and if you have Fruity Pebbles, well, it's not, see, that's Post. That's not Kellogg's, that's Post. But those are just crappy colors,
It was enriched and fortified.
Enriched and fortified with chemicals because they had to de-enrich it and defortify it to put it through the machines. So they had to enrich it and fortify it so that they could put something on the nutritional label so that you didn't think it was just cardboard in a box, right? Number 4, eat some animal foods raw and cook most plant foods. Everybody grimaces at this one, but I don't care if you do raw milk. I don't care if you do raw cheese. I don't care if you do sushi. Just do something raw. What's that word mean in Greek and Hebrew? All. Traditional cultures cooked some of their food, but all consumed a portion of their animal foods raw. Just know that. Number 5, enjoy lacto-fermented condiments and beverages. What does that mean? You ferment stuff, and the lactic acid bacteria turns the sugar into carbon dioxide, right? It turns it into turns the sugars into lactic acid. The lactic acid bacteria makes lactic acid. Primitive and traditional diets have a high content of food, enzymes, and beneficial bacteria from lacto-fermented vegetables, fruits, beverages, dairy products, meats, and condiments. The big one that everybody knows is sauerkraut. That's the big one everybody knows. But kefir, kombucha, those are becoming more and more. Number 6, yeah, and just remember, that's lacto-fermented. Fermented, that's not meaning alcoholically fermented. That's not meaning that yeast turns sugar into alcohol. That's meaning that bacteria turns sugar into lactic acid and carbon dioxide. That's how you get bubbly stuff coming out of the sauerkraut and the stuff like that. Number 6, prepare seeds, grains, and nuts properly to minimize anti-nutrients and enhance digestibility. So yes, your sourdough bread and your other stuff can be done, but we just don't tell people. We just don't promote a whole lot of bread because we want to get people to eat. Bread has nothing in it that you want. It turns to sugar in your body, period, end of story, drop the mic, walk off stage. It turns to sugar. There's just hardly anything in bread. It's just a filler. Most people just love bread because it comes in so many different forms. But if you do seeds or grains or nuts, you want to properly prepare them by soaking, fermenting, sprouting, or naturally leavened to neutralize naturally occurring anti-nutrients such as enzyme inhibitors, tannins, and phytic acids. We're going to cover all of these in a lot more detail farther down the road. But I just want to pitch this again. Everything in this book is pretty much Weston A. Price, Royal Lee, standard process, Weston A. Price Foundation approved. There's no other cookbook like it out there that I know of. Enjoy saturated fats and avoid industrial seed oils. Total fat content of traditional diets varies from 30 to 80% of calories, but only about 4% of calories come from polyunsaturated oils, naturally occurring in grains, legumes, nuts, fish, animal fats, and vegetables. The balance of fat calories is in the form of saturated and monounsaturated fatty acids. Saturated and monounsaturated, this is what they've made people afraid of for the last 70 years. Butter, cholesterol, eggs, all the stuff that your body's made of, fat and protein. Like there's no better food out there than an egg. It's a complete protein that you need to grow a new animal. So when the doctors and the experts and the studies show and the scientists warn, crap came out in the 70s and 80s saying don't eat eggs, you know that you either eat what God made or you eat what some dude created in a laboratory, right? Well, they talked a lot of people into that, and a lot of people fell for it. Number 8, consume animal foods from land and seed, a balance of 6 and O3s. Traditional diets contain nearly equal amounts of O6 and O3 essential fatty acids. People freak out about all this. You don't need to measure them. Number 9, use unrefined salt liberally. What do the talking heads on TV tell you? Salt will blow your head off with high blood pressure. Salt was the original supplement. The first nutritional supplement was salt. People lived and died for salt because you would die without it, right? So the salt mines in the Middle East were a big deal, and people would cart out big giant chunks of salt on backs of camels to haul on ships for thousands of miles. Like, it's very valuable, and that's why they don't want you to understand how much you have to have it. Eat salt like it's your job. I could do a whole 2-hour thing just on salt, just how important it is, and the importance of it and how it's been hidden from all of us. It's sad. It's so sad. So many people have died because they were starved from salt, even in our modern day. It's horrible. Number 10, include bone broth in soup, stews, gravy, and sauces. All, what does that word mean? Traditional cultures make use of some kind of animal bone, usually in the form of gelatin-rich bone broth. So what do? You stick the stuff in a little thing, in a pot, and you boil it. You heat it. That's it. It's not fancy. It's really not fancy. It's only as complicated as you make it. Cooking does not have to be complicated. Cooking is very simple. I think what were the stipulations on this? When we put it together, we said, let's do something with no more than like 10 ingredients and no more than 20 minutes to make or something like that. We said, let's make it simple. People don't have to do 6-course meals. And you know what? You can do this, make one thing, and it's good for, you can eat out of it for 5 days, and it's all prepped. It's simple. It's so simple. Emphasize nutrient-dense foods before and during pregnancy and for growing babies. This is probably, I wish this was number 4, number 3. Traditional cultures make provisions for the health of future generations by providing special nutrient-rich animal foods for parents to be. Notice it says parents. It doesn't say mother. It says parents. They would prepare not just the female, but the male, okay? And they would, for parents to be, pregnant women, and growing children. Look at that. By proper spacing of children, and by teaching the principles of right diet to the young. What? So they would, like there was numerous stories of Weston A. Price going to Alaska. This is going to blow your mind. And they're sleeping on ice, for crying out loud, in igloos and tents. And these pregnant Eskimo women would go to sleep, and in the middle of the night, they would wake up, have the baby, go back to sleep, and in the morning, the husband wakes up and there's a new baby. It wasn't in a hospital pushing uphill against gravity with an epidural and Pitocin and with 4 people in your face screaming, push! No, it didn't happen like that for 6,000 years. It's only been on TV that they've convinced all of us that that's how a birth should be. Does that make sense? Isn't that crazy? There was hardly any, Weston A. Price noticed it, there was hardly any pain in childbirth when you ate the way you're supposed to eat. It's nuts. Fermented nuts, that is. You ready? Okay, last break, we're almost done. It's crazy.
All right.
It's
this
crazy.
person said, I started with a rash on my side that I thought was from poison ivy because it itched. After a few days, the pain began to really set in. So I went to Dr. Brett and I started a couple of different supplements, and the pain then decreased by 50% within the first 24 hours. After 48 hours, the pain was completely gone. A couple weeks later, the rash is almost completely faded. That's awesome.
Wow, look at that. What do you mean? You didn't need a corticosteroid from the Doc in a Box walk-in clinic? That's crazy. Okay, let's look at some funny stuff. I'm no extremist, but the further I deviate away from government advice, the healthier I feel. This is a disease manager, and this is a healthcare worker. True. Why are we so quick to blame disease on genetics and contagions, germs and genes, like I always talk about, and not the fact that our food, water, and air are being systematically poisoned? Crazy. Crazy. The grocery store that sells cancer-causing foods asking me to donate $5 to the Cancer Association at checkout. That's pretty wild. When people ask me, would you like to donate to this and this and this, I prepare a very lengthy speech, let's just say. Poor guys. This is where's Oksana. This is for Oksana. Where'd she go? I wanted to show her this. Me, searching my symptoms on Google, and Google says, get in. Oh, where is she? Where's Oksana? This one's for you. This one's for you. That's hilarious. And then go back to that one, Jonathan. That is one of my top 1,200 memes, I think. You get what I mean? Like somebody has a bump on their leg and they Google it, and before you know it, it's stage 4, level 5, jump off a roof. Get in. Because they're all cycling you to Medscape and WebMD and talk to your doctor. This could be very serious. It might be a tumor, right? Look at that. That's funny. I don't know anything about SpongeBob and this guy. That's funny. If you don't laugh at that, I got to check your pulse. Next. So this research, this is the last couple things here, and then we're done. Then we'll take a couple questions, and then we'll give this away. Who wants this, by the way? Oh, wait, I passed that around. Give me that, where'd that go? Find that journal. Yeah, oh yeah. Look who's got it. Look who's got it. This research came at a pivotal moment. Why is this so important? Well, we talked about it at the beginning. We did the who, we did the what, we did the how. But why won't you see this anywhere else? It's a pivotal moment in history that this research came about, and it could not be replicated today for numerous reasons. Number one, this book is over 80 years old. Do you think you'd find many doctors that would give up their practice and go and do the hucking and bucking and shucking across, the
way times were then.
Yeah. Can you imagine? There is no way. A key modern invention of the time, the camera, allowed documentation like never before. Today, people would look at that and go, oh, that's AI generated. That's not true. Dr. Price took copious notes along with his own photographs. Well, I kind of said that before. He and his wife traveled the world on their own dime. They didn't have a social media following. They didn't have a GoFundMe. They didn't have a Kickstarter. They did it on their own dime because they knew that they were on a mission, and they thought, I wonder why post-World War I, United States, biggest, most powerful country, I wonder why, even 100 years ago, they were thinking, I wonder why the health of this nation is falling apart at the seams. So they went on an Indiana Jones crusade to figure out what is happening. That's valiant. That's valiant. And some of the stuff that Royal Lee went through, I mean, if you knew what he went against with the government and the FDA, and remember, what they were going against at the time was a brand new food industry conglomerate, massive Goliath being built right in front of them, watching all of the crappy foods and ice cream and Coca-Cola. They saw all this in real time being made, foisted on the public, and everyone getting sick from it. They saw it. So imagine how sickening. Like, you know, we think, oh, today it's crazy. People are getting crazier and the stuff's getting crappier and the drugs are getting worse. They lived in it in real time and they saw these factories being built in their towns, right? It's crazy. Isolated native populations, untouched by modern ways, have a fun time trying to find those nowadays, right? Suppression of natural health information happens more extensively now than ever before. If you wrote a book like that today, have fun trying to get it published, right? Unless you do it yourself. His independent and unbiased research, which you don't find anymore these days, was financed entirely by the income of his own dental practice. Find that. Find somebody willing to do that. So here's a review of the whole thing. Price investigated people in 14 countries, 5 continents. He found 14 tribal diets that provided complete immunity to decay and disease. All 14 of those diets included animals, fermented stuff, and just all the 11 principles that we went through before. 14 tribal diets. So what am I saying by that? There's not one thing that works for everybody. Some tribes drink the blood of cattle. Some tribes, you know, they live on tiny islands where there's pigs. You know, some tribes, some people groups, they ate a lot of potatoes. But what we're saying today is some things have changed. We don't recommend pigs to people. We're not big bread people. We want to get people away from potatoes and introduce them to these other things called green leafy vegetables. You know, those are good things. So there's a lot of things have changed since then. But back then, he found 14 different diets that you were completely immune to problems. Isn't that crazy? God, look at what God did, you know? All across the earth, he provided everything that we'll ever need. And it's never going to come through a syringe, and it's never going to come from a microscope of an atheist. Everything that he's ever going to do, he already provided us. It's simple. Go back to the beginning, man. It's so simple. We're waiting for a miracle cure for cancer? No, you're not. Because the miracle cure for cancer is knowing what causes it and then avoiding it like the plague, right? Most of the time it's government, right? There's no mention of obesity. Look through that book. You will never find obesity in that book. 500 pages, and there are no obese people in the book. There are no obese people in your family photos prior to 1970s. There were no nursing homes in the 1960s. They didn't exist. What happened? Come to the Something Happened in 1971 class, and we'll talk about all that. He didn't find any vegetarians. Animal fats broaden the jaw and ensure proper childbirth and growth. Your birth canal is wide enough to allow a child to not get tripped up on anything, ladies, if you eat animal fats. But if they can trick you into not doing fats or doing a low fat, no fat, you know, low carb, no sugar, high artificial sweetener diet, then your body is going to go into contractions and you're going to be in hell. So he didn't find any vegetarians. He went on purpose looking for vegetarians. He wanted there to be vegetarians, but there were none. And I know what I'm saying. We're in Collegedale. We're outside Collegedale. I get what I'm saying. I know who I'm talking to, because we treat these people all day long. If they will modify some of their dietary misinformation, they will get better. If they don't, they will be a statistic, because history documented in these books does not change. You have to have animals. I don't care what influencer tells you. I don't care what Mary Baker Edie says. I don't care. Right there. He didn't find any vegetarians. Nowadays, dentists don't often mention the work of Dr. Price, do they? I've never heard one mention it, ever. And as railroads and roads expanded, communities were invaded by industrialized foods transported to and through them. Crazy, huh? I think that's about it. A couple more things. These people did not have, this is great. These people did not have toothbrushes. They were not exposed to fluoridated water, which is so good for your teeth and keeping your teeth from rotting out of your head, right? I have a whole class on water You're full of it. You might want to check that out. It's like the number one thing we do with people when they come in here. We change their water. And no, it's not alkaline. And no, it's not fluoridated. Dentistry, they didn't have any dentists. They didn't have any obstetrics. And they surely did not have any emergency rooms. Our current diseases are not due to germs or genes. In other words, it's not genetic and it's not viruses. Our current diseases are coming from what? Deficiencies and toxicities, period. End of story. That's it. And we can even go back to, if you have any questions about that triangle that we showed at the beginning, we can go back to that. Dr. Price's research conclusively proved that dental decay is caused by nutritional deficiency and that those conditions that promote decay likewise promote diseases, right? And then contact with civilization followed by the displacing foods of modern commerce was disastrous for how many groups? All groups. Next. Here's the last thing. Dr. Price consistently found that healthy, isolated peoples whose diets contained adequate nutrients from animal protein and fat, not sugar, protein and fat, not only enjoyed excellent health, but also had a cheerful, positive attitude. He noted that most prison and asylum inmates have facial deformities indicative of prenatal nutritional deficiencies. You show me a facial picture of a serial killer, and I can tell you what's up with that dude, just by the direction of his eyes. I have a whole class. We're going to do it at some point, probably within the next year or two, just a class on serial killers. It's going to be fabulous. It's going to be fabulous. And you will be shocked. And no, these are not serial killers. Look at these, the broad arches. When you have a cleft lip or a cleft palate, or when you have spina bifida, where is that in the body? Midline, right? Where your cells, when you are forming a baby, your cells kind of pinch in at the middle here, and then they pinch in a little bit more, pinch in. You're turning one cell into two cells. What happens? It pinches in, pinches in, pinches in, and then separates, right? Where you have a cleft lip or a cleft palate, or you have spina bifida in the midline of the body. Why is it in the midline always? So that's where those cells are pinching, 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 and they don't separate properly. Because of what? You need vitamins and minerals so that the cells know how to pinch, how far, when to stop, when to separate. So when you have wide, beautiful, straight dental arches with room for all the teeth to come in, that's what you get. And you only get that by eating plants and animals. Here is indigenous folk. Here's kids raised. That's what my teeth look like. I mean, pretty bad. I had a tooth growing, didn't I? I had a tooth growing come out of my nose right here. I had a tooth coming out of my maxilla bone right here. So I had to have a bunch of teeth pulled, and I had to have a palatal expander put into right here, posted onto these two molars, and it was a wire thing with a box of gears in the middle, and you stick a paper clip into it, and you push it back, and what it does is it separates the bones in the roof of your mouth. And I had a big giant gap between these front teeth. After that palatal expander, it's a thing to expand your palate. Yeah, and so it kept, and every day you'd just push it and you'd hear the bone separate a little bit. It was so small and so tiny that it didn't hurt, but you'd feel it. It was pressure pushing like think about how barbaric this is, right? And it would push your jaw apart so that then eventually, like I had this big giant gap right between my front teeth. I look like, what's his name? Alfalfa? Buckwheat? What's his face? Whatever show that is. I just had this big buck tooth thing with a gap right here. And then eventually they put braces on and pulled that tooth down. But I shouldn't have had to have any of that. Look at this. That was me. It wasn't that bad. Wasn't that bad. But I mean, that's how I felt sometimes, right? And these are indigenous people, and those are brand new, right? That's second generation. I'll read this. No other primitive race seems to deserve so much credit for skill in obeying nature's laws as these primitive aborigines because of the perpetual drought hazards of much of the land they live in. Half of Australia has less than 10 inches of rain per year. Note the magnificent dental arches and beautiful teeth of these primitives. Tooth decay was almost unknown in many districts. That's the Aborigines. And I'm sorry, 100 years ago he used words like primitives and racial stock and, primitive peoples. Today people get all butthurt about it. But right here, wherever the primitive Aborigines have been placed in reservations and fed on the white man's foods of commerce, dental caries has become rampant. This destroys their beauty, prevents mastication, proper chewing, and provides infection for seriously injuring their bodies. Note the contrast between the primitive woman in the upper right and the three modernized women. See a difference? You'll never hear another doctor talk about it. You'll never hear your dentist talk about it. If we get rid of all the margarine, the world will be a better place. One good churn deserves another. All right, I think that's it. Any questions? We'll take like a couple questions or something. And here, give me that journal. We'll see who wants to play the game. Any questions at all? Did anybody learn anything?
Yeah, I think it's interesting the way that
Microphone. Yeah, just so everybody can hear.
it just sounds, what stands out is how he described the foods of commerce.
Yeah, displacing foods of commerce.
Yeah, so what is, and what's the root of commerce? The bottom line is a financial profitability, and I don't know, just thinking in terms of foods of commerce, the way he described it, there, out of all the words that it could be described.
Well, and what he probably was describing without knowing that he was describing it was, see, back then everything was on a gold standard. Hold on to that. Everything was on a gold standard. But as after World War I, 1913, the Federal Reserve was formed, and from that point on, the dollar started losing its value. So that's when you started seeing massive factories being built to create cheaper and cheaper foods that could have more and more shelf life. And so over time, you would see faker and faker foods being made cheaper and cheaper because the value of the dollar from 1913 started going down. And then we were on a gold standard back then. You could go to the bank and you could get your money for gold. But what he was noticing, and he probably didn't know how to describe it back then, was the fact that we were on a shaky financial fractional reserve banking. We were on a shaky financial foundation. And so what Royal Lee was noticing post-World War I, where we got really, really good at extracting the value of the food, extracting the nutritional value out of the food, and making it so that it wouldn't rot, but you could ship it across to another continent and keep a bunch of soldiers alive who were trying to kill other soldiers. That's what Royal Lee and Weston A. Price saw in their lifetimes. That had never been done before, where we had started the foods of commerce in order to make them cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and get more and more value out of people as their money is getting debased at the same time. That's where all our diseases are coming from too, because fake money breeds fake food. Fake money breeds fake education. Fake money breeds fake medicine. Fake money breeds fake pharmaceuticals.
Counterfeit health.
Counterfeit health. It's all counterfeit. They tell you it's one thing, it's the exact opposite, because it's based on money that doesn't exist. And now we're $34 trillion in debt, but we can start 4 wars. While inflation is stealing from your wallet while you sit here, they're trying to get across to everyone that you need to work less with a 4-day work week. They're pushing the 4-day work week, and now they're up in the, like we talked about at the beginning with Wendy's, like the dynamic pricing. Did we mention that? Yeah, we mentioned that.
Like, what does that mean?
The dynamic pricing. Wendy's is going to start changing they're already implementing tens of millions of dollars into putting like updatable signs on their drive-thrus and in their restaurants, so the prices can change throughout the day depending on when you walk in the door. And all the fast food places are going to do it.
Is it kind of like when they're the busiest? And
Yeah.
they're
It's like Uber. It's just like Uber. So what they're going to start doing, and you're going to start seeing this everywhere. Within the next year, you're going to start seeing this everywhere. So while everybody's dying of inflation and they have no idea what to do about it, while their banks are getting shut down and going broke, you've got 40 countries pushing for a 4-day work week. And, oh, by the way, you can get cheaper fast food, because all of it's based on fake money. If you want to understand how to get out of that crap, I'd say the next WellWorks on whatever day that is. What do I have? Something happened in 1971, April 8th. Put that on your calendar. That'll be good. So yeah, it's all based on fake money. And how would you do a lockdown? How would you convince 2/3 of the world's population to take multiple software upgrades? How would you convince 81% of the United States to let a stranger in a parking lot inject poison into their arm through their car window? How would you do that if you didn't print money? And I get to answer that. I swear she has the craziest ringtones on her phone. She always has. I've known her 10 years. She's always had the craziest ringtones.
Well, I think I know the same thing.
Yeah. Any other questions? Was that too much info for y'all? Oh, and by the way, I got to talk to you about what are you hiding? What kind of food are you hiding at your grandma's house? Yeah, your mom told me. I said, you let me talk to him. I'll take care of that. But yeah, any other questions? Did you learn anything? Isn't it satisfying to know that like this, the truth, it's always been out there. It's just been hidden. And you got to find somebody who knows where to look, you know, and here you are. So any other questions? Anybody want to give a testimonial about what they've done? How long they've been here? Or what they've learned here for the wise traditions? I'll take two, and then we'll judge. We'll let the audience judge like who's the best one. Or if you just first one, you know what? First one who wants to give a testimonial, hop on up. Very interesting info here. This is one of the baddest journals out there, and this is not the AMA. Anybody? First one. Oh, wait, you're not even
a new patient.
You're not even a patient yet.
I know, but you spent what, like, I think like it was like a 30-minute appointment, and you spent like an hour and a half, I think, with me.
Oh yeah. Here,
Yeah.
hold up. So you haven't even started yet. I think you're getting started.
Yes.
Why? Why do you want to get started?
Because I want to feel better.
Yeah?
Sick of feeling like crap.
How do you know that we're going to make you feel better?
Because of all these testimonials, because I have a good friend that comes here and has shared with me, because I'm learning, and I know that I have been through modern healthcare, and it is not working.
Right.
Not at all for me.
Right. Why? What hasn't worked? Like, you don't have to get into like your whole
Yeah.
history and stuff like that, but like, what was the turning point? What
well,
made you
just-
finally go, I'm done with this crap?
Because all these medicines I'm on, they're not helping me any. They're not helping my symptoms. It's just making me worse.
They're making you worse because now you have deficiencies already that are causing the symptoms, and now you're going to be experiencing toxicities from the poisons. Right?
Yep.
So if they can trick you into blood pressure medications and cholesterol medications and beta blockers and anxiety pills, if they can trick you into that, then they can get you to kill yourself slowly for profit. And that's what they're doing. It's a spell spoken over this nation of demonism and absolute pharmakia, witchcraft, sorcery. That's what it is. That's why we did the Cult of Modern Death Care class, so you help people understand, like, this, it's a cult. It's a blood cult. That's what's going on. You've noticed that.
Yeah.
Okay. And so then anything else you want to, so you haven't even gotten started yet, so you don't even know.
Well, I got the modules
Oh,
in
yeah.
December, so I started the new module and got my first module 1 done, so that's been really good.
Yeah, so what she's talking about is we did the Divine Design Academy, and that's 4 different modules. These are all different events that we did, just movie posters that we did. And there's 4 different modules, and each module has 8 videos in it. From what to eat, your water, the cancer, the cannabis, what to do about this, what to do about that, autoimmune stuff, chemical imbalance stuff, hormonal imbalance crap, all these 8 different videos, which are each about 2 hours long, just like this, in 4 different modules. So what, 32 different videos, almost 40 videos? And you started it, she started it before she even became a patient. You know, I've never had anybody do that. I know.
Or to life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. But I've never had, yeah.
Well, I do love to learn. I like how they set it out, and
Yeah.
I like how they made it real easy for me just to listen and watch for the
Yeah.
information, and
Yeah.
of course then I took all my other notes too.
Yeah, but I've never had anybody do that before, where they started. I've had a bunch of people watch the classes before they get started, but I've never had anybody sign up for the whole program and do the whole Divine Design Academy before even starting. You're getting started this week?
Yeah, Thursday.
There you go. All right, that's all for me. Thank you for coming. I'll see you April 8th. That's about a month from today. Something happened in 1971. And we'll be signing out. We'll be talking to you soon. I'm Dr. Brett Spradlin, Divine Design Natural Health. Thank you. All right. Yay!